right, let's get started. Hi,
All
everyone. My
right,
name
let's
is
do it.
Hallie Caldwell, and I am a member of the Quad Education team. And I have one of our incredible consultants with us today, Darryl, and he'll introduce himself in a moment. But welcome to our webinar on how to get off of the college waitlist. No, waitlists decisions aren't quite out yet, but it's always good to be prepared just in case and to know what your options are. So Quad Education, we are a an admissions consulting company that works with students and families through the entire college admissions process. We work with students from like 6th grade all the way through 12th grade, like to build their candidacy, help decide what classes they should be taking, extracurriculars, and all the way through to just helping students with their college applications, their essays, letters of interest, um, and everything until they decide where they are going to go. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We have Darryl Tiggle here with us today. Darryl, can you give us a little introduction?
Great. Well, thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us this evening. My name is Darryl Tiggle, and I'm a Quad education consultant, and I really enjoy the work I do. I'm a college counselor for lots of students, and I especially enjoy working with the Quad group. I'm a former student who could have really used a Quad education counselor. I was a public school student who was fortunate to go to a great college, Union College. You see the banner flying behind me, and worked in admissions there for a long time. Before moving eventually on after a long career in admissions to Tufts University, where I worked prior to moving to the other side of the college admissions game and became a director of college counseling. So I've really had the pleasure and opportunity to see the college admissions process from the college admissions side, sort of admitting students, and then working with students on the high school side, helping them get into college. So we're going to shine some light on the waitlist thing today.
Awesome. Thanks,
Great.
Darryl, and appreciate you being here as always.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, so today we just introduced Darryl, but we'll talk about what the waitlist is and some reasons why colleges will put students on a waitlist. And then what to do if you are waitlisted, the steps that you can take, how to continue to show your interest, and other things to be thinking about during that waitlist period. And then we'll talk about some tips and tricks, some things to help boost your chances and to think about. And then we'll open things up for a Q&A. So if you have any questions as we go through this, feel free to pop them in the Q&A chat box, and we'll get to those at the end. We'll leave a good amount of time for Q&A questions. So, Darryl, let's dive in.
Waitlists are similar, to deferral decisions, in that they sort of, kind of push your decision off to a later date, maybe. But waitlist is germane only to regular decision applications, where deferred applicants are those who have applied either through early action or early decision programs. So waitlist happens at the regular decision threshold, and it still means that you have a competitive application, right? Or you wouldn't have been put on the waitlist, right? There are 3 decisions that come out of college applications, and they are admit, deny, and at regular decision waitlist. So it's something that still keeps you in the game, similar to a deferral. And students who get off the waitlist are accepted. They have to, they're deciding between a lot of things. As they get off the waitlist, they might have to reject admissions offers at other schools. So it's a thoughtful time in your life where you have to do some thinking about how to react to the decision and how you move forward.
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly there. Thanks, Darryl. Let's talk about some reasons why students might be put on a wait list, and kind of the college side of that. What are their goals with the wait list?
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the college side, because a lot of my life was on the college side. And I often tell my students, as they think about how their decisions come out, enrollment management is going on at the college side. They've got a lot of enrollment to manage, right? So while students might take it personally, I say, think about the things that have to happen. And colleges have a limited number of students that they can admit. There's a limited number of places in the freshman class, the first year class, and that doesn't really change. They do try to mathematically determine how many students through regular decision will fill that group of seats they need for the first year, but they know that calculation may be off. So they want to make sure that they've taken out some insurance, they've hedged their bet, so that if they do have spaces remaining after the students who've been offered regular decision options have made their decision, they have a group of equally talented, equally desirable students who they would have liked to have admitted, but who they put on the wait list, and it helps them, sort of keep some students on reserve, right? And once available spots fill up, they'll have to maybe eventually sunset the wait list, but that's what it's used for, so that colleges can manage their enrollment, and if spaces become available after the regular decision students sort of make their choices, the waitlist students become admitted students.
Great. Would you say that the wait list is kind of like a wish list for colleges? Like if we had
It,
unlimited spaces, these are who we would want, but because we
it
have
exactly that, and that's what I often call it. And if you think about admissions, especially at the super selective places where they might have, and I'm gonna give you pretend numbers, but they're numbers that exist. There's some schools that get 30,000 applications, but they can only admit 3,000, 4,000, maybe 5,000 students. There's absolutely a large number of talented and desirable students in that 25 or 20,000 students that they had to let go that they really wish they could admit. And that's the other way I like to envision admissions when I was doing admissions, that at the end of the day, and I worked at places that were pretty selective, so we couldn't admit as many students as we'd like to. We admitted as many students as we could, but we did have a wait list of students who we wish the best for, that they would get an opportunity to come to us. Absolutely.
Great. So if you are waitlisted, there's still hope, and it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your application.
Not at all. And in fact, you're going to do not more applying, but some of the things that you learned, some of the skills that you learned while you were applying, you're going to use them in a very professional way once you become waitlisted and start to make your claim.
Great. So what next? You get that letter, that email, you're waitlisted. What do you do?
All right. So there's a couple things. So it sounds like you should wait, right? And there is some waiting involved, right? You're gonna have to wait, right? It's literally the title of the decision, right? But you're gonna have to respond, right? So colleges also want to know, would you like to remain on the wait list? They understand this has been a long journey. You may be tired of waiting, so you might choose not to, right? But if it's your school, like if that's a school you definitely want to go to, you want to attend, make sure you accept your place on the wait list. And it is a proactive thing most colleges are asking you to do, and it's not a huge lift. You'll have to check that you like to remain on the wait list, right? If you've changed your mind and don't have an intention of attending, please do say, I'm no longer interested. I'm satisfied with the schools to which I've been admitted, and you can deny, right? You can forego your place on the wait list and decide not to wait and enroll somewhere where you're admitted.
All right.
And we're going to talk a lot. We're going to talk a lot about the responding. I don't know exactly when I want to slide this in there, but throughout this process, responding to the colleges that have admitted you is really, really important to you and kind of to the world around you. And it's the way that the wait list works. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we move on.
All right. So first step, respond. Accept or deny your spot on the wait list.
Absolutely.
All right. So then demonstrating interest.
All right. And we talk about this a lot, right? And it's a thing, like it's a term, but it's also an action. You want to demonstrate to the school that you really want to go there, right? So make sure you're checking, the school's website, right? So that you know the next steps. You've got a portal that you're checking in on, and they're very likely giving you some instructions as the do's and don'ts of what you should do while you're on the wait list. Consider submitting a letter of continued interest, right? Or an email, just to let the schools know that you are very keenly, interested in attending that place. And again, have not, sort of the spirit of remaining positive, you've not internalized the wait list as a negative reply. It's another opportunity for you to become a student at that school, right? And ensure you don't need to submit additional documents. So they might have waitlisted you because they do indeed want to see some more work for you. It might be that's one of the reasons you didn't quite make it in. See if there's other things that you should be submitting and make sure to move forward with getting those documents or other credentials to them.
I think we should also just mention that some schools will tell you to not send them emails or not check
Absolutely.
in unless you're updating them, like large updates to your application. So follow
Absolutely.
those
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah. There's some do's and there are indeed some don'ts. There's indeed some don'ts. Thank you. All right.
So you might get other acceptances while you are on the wait list at one school.
You will absolutely have other acceptances to decide between as you're looking at your waitlist school. But it's important, and again, we talked about the title of this particular decision is a waiting game, right? Continue to show your interest, right? You've done what you need to do at those schools. So wait and let them wait for you, right? And then make sure at the schools that have invited you, that have admitted you, right? Go ahead and make sure that you start to engage those schools. So while it's great to be hopeful, don't put all your eggs in that basket and say, all right, I'm not depositing anywhere until I find out what the waitlist school is going to tell me, because that might be a wait that's longer than you can take, right? So we want you to make sure that you're moving forward with the schools that you've been admitted to. Getting off the wait list is still a gamble, right? If those schools have predicted their enrollment correctly and the regular decision students fill up the first year class, the wait list does have to disappear. So know that is a possibility. According to U.S. News and World Report, 98 ranked universities admitted approximately 39%, I'm going to call that 40%, right, of waitlisted students. However, this is bound to be much lower, at the more highly selective schools. But know that waitlist is indeed a way that schools work to fill their class, and that statistic I think is very encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. With the wait list, Darryl, some schools might not know how many of their students that they've accepted will actually enroll with them until kind of that May 1st cutoff.
Correct.
So it's possible that you might not get an acceptance at a waitlist college until after that, which is why it's important, I'm assuming, to put in a deposit prior to that at a different school.
Absolutely. So May 1st is sort of universally the enrollment deadline for all colleges. So in most cases, colleges will not know until May 1st or May 2nd or May 3rd if they're going to the wait list, right? So that's why we say we do not want you to gamble and then say, I'm going to wait until they release their wait list decisions, because they really can't do it in their formula until May 1st or May 2nd, when they see what the reply from the regular decision students might be. Sometimes a school might trickle out some waitlist options, that last week of April, or they may know a little bit sooner that they're going to use the waitlist. But please know that until you're admitted, it's still a waiting game. So we want you to engage those schools who have already seen your brilliance and invited you to attend.
Perfect. So I think this is a great tip for anyone all the time, but especially when you're waiting, focusing on what you can control instead of thinking about the things you can't is important. And I'm sure you deal with this with your students quite a bit.
And even prior to waitlists, right? Even prior to waitlists, and I might even blame myself. We talk a lot about admit rate and selectivity and numbers and the like, but that is something, again, as you enter this this part of the journey, don't get yourself too tied up on those things that you cannot control, because there are some things that you can do. So don't worry about how many other students were placed on the wait list. It'll probably be difficult to ascertain where you rank on the wait list, because the colleges, in the same way that they do selection, they might be using their wait list strategically. They might be saying, these are the type of students that we want to pull from the wait list. So don't try to overthink how your wait list journey will manifest. Just make sure you let them know that you're waiting and that you'd like to attend. Don't get bogged down trying to analyze your chances of getting admitted, especially based on previous year's numbers, because in admissions, each year brings a different chapter. Think about the last couple years and maybe how chapters have changed at schools. So previous years statistics might be helpful, but on the wait list, don't say, well, last year they took this many. You can't control that, right? Focus on excelling in the classroom, because you can update them with, hey, I'm still knocking it out in the classroom. Focus on being a great citizen out in your community, in the world. And when you're updating them, tell them about the project you just did, or the theater appearance you just had, or the community service you've just led.
Great. Then you have to wait.
All right.
You put down a deposit at another school. You're doing the best you can in your classes.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason it's called the wait list. And we said it before, you got to wait, right? All right. So these are the things. If you're accepted off the wait list, and we're going to be optimistic that, you're not going to have to necessarily juggle the wait list too much. We're just giving you some skills up front. Let the school know that you're going to respond as soon as possible. Let any school that you've previously put a deposit down, let them know that you've been admitted off the wait list and will now release your space in that class. And let them know where you're enrolling. So the thing I was talking about earlier, it's kind of the karma of college admissions, right? So when you get your admissions decisions, if there's schools that you absolutely know you're not going to, please let those schools know, right? Because they might be able to use those spaces later on for waitlists, right? If you deposit at a school, right, and then you get off the wait list at another school and then decide to deposit at that school, please tell the school where you deposited that you decided to come off the wait list. Sometimes it happens that students do not tell that school that thing happened, and there's a term for it. It's called summer melt. Colleges build it into the calculation that they do, because they realize that over the summer, a bunch of students are going to melt away who they did not hear from, that deposited initially and then got off the wait list. So make sure to do that and consider it to your college and to other people who are in the world of college admissions, right? If you're not accepted off the wait list, you can consider transferring to another school. But like we said, you're going to have lots of other great options, even if that school doesn't take you off the wait list.
Fantastic. Darryl, do you have any other tips here while either you're waiting, or if you do get an acceptance or rejection at this time? Anything we didn't cover here?
Say it again. Repeat that for me.
It's anything we didn't cover on this slide that you think is important with waiting for the wait list, and then if you are accepted or not accepted?
I think one of the things that's especially important is to be earnest and honest about your intentions with the school. So because colleges are managing their enrollment, often they might call someone like me and say, hey, Mr. Tiggle, we're thinking about taking some students off the wait list. Do you know if Hallie's keenly interested, right, in our institution? They might feel it out a little bit before they contact you, right? So know that you need to be in dialogue with the school to let them know of your interest. If you have a college counselor that you're working with, let them know also, hey, these are some schools that or a school that I'm trying to get in off the wait list, and help you in that process. So I think, the communication and that continued interest to the point of, the don'ts, right? You don't want to over communicate if you're not, giving them good information. But I think letting them know and this is the other thing. This is my most important information. And again, don't do this everywhere as a strategy. Do this authentically. The school that you want to go to, please say in no uncertain terms, if admitted, I will absolutely enroll and become a union college or whatever college it is, matriculant. Let them know you will attend, not that you'd like to have the option of considering whether you'd like to attend. Let them know you want to come and that you will.
Great. And
Oh,
that I
one
assume
other
would be
thing.
in
Oh, you asked me to
yeah.
keep thinking now that, so one of the other things you want to make sure that you keep in mind is that sometimes with the wait list, colleges may or may not be able to provide financial aid in the same way they did to students who were admitted through regular decisions. So sometimes if a school, they might run out of financial aid, but still have waitlist spaces available. So sometime that's a conversation you'll need to have with your college and your family.
It's a great thing to think about. That I think probably gets missed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Fantastic.
All right. What's
So
next?
tips.
All
Tips for
right.
waitlisted students, and then from there we'll go into a Q&A. So if you have questions here, pop them in the Q&A box and we'll get to those after this.
All right. All right. First tip, right? Deeply consider whether you really want to attend the school before accepting your spot on the wait list, right? So again, don't go willy-nilly saying, oh yeah, wait list, I'll take that one, I'll take that one, I'll take that one. Be thoughtful, just like you have been throughout the process. Be thoughtful about how you respond to the wait list, because you will also need to engage them in a genuine and earnest way. So make sure to be thoughtful as you opt to stay on the wait list. Don't attempt to communicate with colleges when you're upset about their decision. Give yourself some time to breathe and cool down, and that should probably be number one. So next time around, we're going to slide that one to number one. Like most things, disappointing news is indeed that. It's disappointing, right? And you know that you're a viable candidate at school because you did your research. So it is. It's disappointing. Give it some time to soak in, right? And to be self-reflective, right? And to understand, especially if you're waitlisted, that you're still in the hunt. So you still want to show them your best self, right? So wait until it cools down and then engage them after you've understood, all right, here's how I want to continue my campaign to be admitted. All right. All right. Ensure that you're sending the right school, the right emails, and trust me, I understand this is an anxiety-ridden, stressful time where I might have even been guilty of putting the wrong school's name on something, right? They'll forgive me more than they'll forgive you. So make sure that you're communicating in a way that you're crisp in your communications, and that you're, and you might be on the wait list at two places, right? So make sure that you're being, again, thoughtful about the communications you're sending out, right?
Yeah. And I think there too, just making sure you're checking off any of the boxes. If they're asking for recommendation letters, updated grades, all of that, make sure you're sending those in the appropriate places.
Right. Excellent. All right. If a school doesn't want applicants to send more materials, don't send anything. It could hinder rather than help. And that is, I think that's one of the don'ts. And the schools will communicate that to you, right? Now, some schools, because of the volume that they're dealing with, will say, these are the things we'd like you to do. And in a very clear way, these are the things that we recommend or would suggest that you not do. Keep up your grades, and we know, and even those of us who are parents and college counselors, we know that senioritis is a thing that is real, and some consider it a right. Right? For waitlist students, you've got to delay that right for a little bit and continue to plug away in the classroom and do your best work. That's another indication that you can tell the school, look, I'm so committed, right? I'm so driven. I'm so inspired to prove to you all I should be there. I've even conquered senioritis. All right. Right? And then, keep the school updated on new activities, accomplishments, or honors, right? Go and do those things, accomplish some things, get some honors, right? Do well so that when you're communicating to them, hey, I'm still out here waiting and I really want to go. I was just the lead in the play. Hey, I'm out here, I still want to go. I just did a build, for Habitat for Humanity, right? Make sure you're doing things that you can communicate to them, that tells them what kind of citizen you are and will be when you get there, right? It also shows how resilient you are, that you don't take, what some might consider bad news. You take news and turn it into inspiration, right? Ensure all your communications, the college are professional and respectful. And one of the things that's a way that you can do this, lean towards being concise, right? We're not writing them new essays. We're sending them sort of short love notes that are professionally written, right? And respectful, right? Because, you want it to be well received. You want it to be read, right? So a full page, probably not going to get read in May and June, right? Send them something short, sweet, professional, and I will come if admitted. Have a great summer. All right.
Fantastic. Thanks, Darryl.
What do we got next?
So Q&A. So
Oh,
if
my
anyone
goodness.
has any questions, pop them up in
There we
that
go.
Q&A box. We have our expert Darryl here, who not only knows about waitlists, but every other part of the college application process and can answer those questions.
And
In the
I
meantime,
promise, I promise or warn you that I will give you the long answer to any of your questions so we can cover a lot of bases.
yes, thorough answer. In the meantime, is there any other tips that you have for students after they get a wait list?
Sure.
Anything that you tell your students?
Oh, I tell my students throughout the process, and it was one of the notes that I wrote down on my pad of paper. Unless you're an early decision student who wraps it up, before the new year, and sometimes I guess they don't either, because there's early decision too. This college process is a marathon. I mean, it's a marathon, right? And even if you don't run them, if you can sort of, metaphorically envision them, think about the marathons, or when you hear people talk about marathons, which is winning, right? They'll say, you know what? I was almost done. And then I saw this last hill. There was one last hill. And I just, oh my God, how could you, after that great performance, those first 25 or 12.1 miles, a final hill, right? Think about this as a final hill, right? But if you look at that hill and say, oh my God, oh, I can't get up that hill. There's no way I'm gonna get up that hill. There's a good chance you're not gonna get up that hill, right? But if you look at that hill and say, you know what? May not get up it, but I'm gonna take a good shot at getting up that hill. I'm gonna remain positive, and I'm gonna use the same skills I was using on those first 25 or 12.1 miles so that I can get up the rest of this hill. So it's about attitude and staying positive. And that will come through in your communication, right? That'll come through in the spirit of how you engage the school. So I say, always think about winning. Whatever you do, always think about, visualize how you are going to win, and then any time that you might not win, try to forget those not wins. Try to make them quick memories.
Just little road bumps.
That's it.
All right, we got a couple questions here, Darryl.
All right, let's hear it.
Should you deny a waitlist accepting a spot on the waitlist if you're interested in getting into another school more, but you're still waiting for a decision or an acceptance from the school you want more? So your number one, maybe your number two school puts you on the wait list. You're waiting for your number one to give you a decision. What do you do?
Yeah. So, well, with the wait, so our direction is, you've got to understand the wait list may not become an option to. Let's decide the wait list will not become an option for you until May 2nd in most cases. So think about your activity between now and May 1st. So enroll at a school by May 1st that you absolutely want to go to. However, do not cut off communication. Do not deny a wait list option if you're juggling it between two schools, because they're not necessarily communicating. So you can remain on the wait list at more than one school while being enrolled at a school before May 1st, so that you absolutely have a home. If that answers your question, does that?
I think so. I think this is a little bit before that. So say
Okay.
like, I don't know, March 1st, I get accepted at my second favorite school, or I
Hmm.
get put on the wait list at my second favorite school, but decisions haven't come out for my number one school yet. And I
Right.
think our advice is accept the wait list spot as soon as possible. So if you're
Yeah.
waiting, is it okay if you wait a week or two to accept that spot to see if you get accepted at school number one? Or do you accept that spot and if you get into the school you want, remove yourself?
Schools, uh, they might have an expiration on how long until you accept your wait list. Typically, a pretty wide berth. However, every school, in most cases, has to give you until May 1st to make a decision. So the school that you may have been admitted to or waitlisted at on in March, you can absolutely stay on the wait list there. But have them follow up with me if I've juggled that question too much. But
No,
at the end of the day, you have until May 1st to make decisions at any school where you're admitted. Waitlist schools may indeed say that there is an expiration on when you can accept your spot on the waitlist.
and can you, if you decide to go to a different school before that May 1st deadline that you were accepted to, can you remove yourself from the wait list at the school you accepted the wait list spot at?
So repeat that one for me again.
Um, so you can remove yourself from the wait list if you accept a spot on it, if you decide
A-
to, there's another
Absolutely.
school you want to go to.
Yeah.
So
And yep.
yeah, so I think the
And
answer
you
is
should
accept
if
the wait list if you want to, if you are considering that school and still waiting on the decision of like your number one school. And if you decide to go to your number one school, you can remove yourself.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. All right. So next question is, can you describe the process of giving a deposit to the second favorite school? So what is the initial deposit required and when do you have to give the remaining deposit or finalize or give up hope of getting off the wait list at another school? So I think we're
Sure.
talking here about um, May 1st. Generally, you have to tell a college that you want to go to, that you are going to go there. And generally, you have to give them
Mhm.
a certain amount of money to hold that spot.
Mhm.
Um, so then giving like the remaining deposit, I think generally you pay for the semester before it starts. But school, like when do waitlists generally close for
Yeah.
colleges? Like when will you know
All right. So
for
that kind
certain?
of rubs up against that sort of summer melt that I talked about
Yeah.
before. Wait lists, as we said before, May 2nd is when that season really begins. Um, Unfortunately, the wait list process could last until the 4th of July, right? The summer melt means that after colleges have sort of, you know, brought together all of their numbers and they look at their class, they will often find later in the summer students will, have either gotten off the wait list at other places or just notified them for the first time that they've, chosen other places. Many students, and we recommend that students don't do this, but some students who are fortunate to be admitted to several colleges, but just cannot make up their minds by May 1st, they'll deposit at more than one school, and there's not really a way for colleges to prohibit that. At some point in the summer, they will tell the other schools to which they've submitted deposits um, I'm not enrolling. I've decided to go elsewhere. They'll have to forego their deposit, but that will mean sometimes in June and July, colleges will have to trickle out other waitlist options, but they will at some point, hopefully earlier in the summer than later in the summer, let waitlist students know. Unfortunately, our waitlist is now closed. We will no longer be admitting students off the waitlist, but that tends
Yeah.
to be, probably June or July on the long end.
So it won't be a guessing game. The schools will keep you updated as they go through their
Absolutely.
process. There's not a spot like a point in time where you look at the calendar, say it's July 1st. I can give up hope now. Like they'll let you know when you
Yeah,
can, and it will be before you needing to pay for a full semester and
absolutely.
starting school. All right, this is a question that I don't know the answer to, so maybe you do, Darryl. Is there
All
a
right.
different waitlist for an international student, or do those students who are waitlisted go on the same waitlist?
They will typically be the same wait list. Yeah. The wait list is generally just a pool of students they're hoping might have the opportunity to come, but yeah, they tend not to different. When we were saying before, how schools might strategically use their wait list, they might say, oh, we'd like to have more international students, so they might be prioritized on the wait list, right? So it's hard for the waitlisted student to know how the colleges will sort of manifest that, but they tend to be all one cohesive group.
Great. Perfect. So we'll leave the questions open for another minute, but in the meantime, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us. It was a pleasure having you all here. Glad you could join. We'll send an
Always.
email out tomorrow with a recording of this webinar. Then feel free to pop onto the Quad Education site if you have any questions, if you're finishing up your applications, you need to write some letters of continued interest. We're here and available to help you, and you can work with our amazing consultants like Darryl through that process. And good luck in this final stretch here. Darryl, thanks so much for being here as always. It's a pleasure to have you. You are just a wealth of knowledge.
Well, it's so much
And
fun, and I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
yeah, thanks. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great night. Take care.
All right. Happy holidays. Thanks for coming out.